Welcome to the NAMB Podcast, where we bring you the voices that drive the mortgage industry. Join dynamic hosts Ginger Bell and Matt Shields as they dive into bold conversations with top experts, industry leaders, and change makers from across the country. From insider insights to game-changing trends, this is your front row seat to what's happening right now in the world of home finance.
Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of the NAMB Podcast. My name is Ginger Bell. I have my co-host with me, Matt Shields. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Hey, Ginger. I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited for our guests today. I think our audience is going to love them.
Absolutely. So let's welcome our guest and introduce you to Paul Jones. He's the Senior Vice President of Non-QM Business Development for Logan Finance. So, Paul, thanks for hopping on with us.
Thank you very much, Ginger and Matt, for having me. Really excited to be here today. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as we were in the green room getting started, we were having discussions really about Matt's role with NAMB and young professionals and the opportunities they have with non-QM products. And, you know, I just honestly just would love to just start the discussion there. So, you know, Matt, if you want to just pick up from where you were and introduce, you know, really the opportunities that are present today, not just for non-QM, but especially for our next generation that's coming in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big believer of niche to grow rich. And as we have a newer originator getting into the business, they're trying to, find their path, find their avenue. I think the non-QM space is a phenomenal way for them to stand out. With the DSCR for investors and the bank statement loans for business owners, they could really position themselves as the expert and brand themselves in that lane. And, Paul, I just want to get your feedback on that and what you're seeing on your side.
Yeah, it's really interesting that the younger generation, they want to go out, they want to build their brand, they want to build their business, they know how to leverage social media a little bit more. So I think one of the things that's key is just we try to do a lot to introduce the products and the fundamentals of those products so that they can now feel comfortable to go out there and expand their network with these products. And DSCR is the greatest example of that. The investing market doesn't hesitate the way traditional buyers do, even other non-QM buyers do, with rate challenges, inventory challenges, affordability, all the things that are kind of the buzz terms in the housing market right now. The investor is willing and able to continue growing their portfolio, refinancing, and doing things that help them scale as investors. So if a young professional, someone who's very well versed enough in the product and take just a simple set of marketing collateral, their smiling face and a business card to real estate investor meetings, and then kind of build and market to those investor groups with some of the social media that they have access to and are better at than we are, probably, or at least I am. They can really become a solid, reliable individual in that space around their community and other areas.
Absolutely. I think it's a great way for them to tap into referral partners. So, that realtor, they might have their go-to loan officer already, and they're probably not even talking about the non-QM space.
Right.
So if they're really trying to target that new partner and find a way in and show them what they can do, offering some of those products that you guys have, I think is a great way for them to get that foot in the door and show what they're capable of.
Yeah, it really goes a long way to, as well as being, building their referral network, is the successful closure of those loans when they start with the right areas that non-QM truly comes from. Then they get loans that actually fit into the box a little bit better. I always say try to avoid the accidental non-QM as much as possible. And while it's good to fix a broken loan once in a while with it, you have someone like you're scrambling, but if you know that you're reaching out to CPAs and tax preparers to get with the true self-employed individuals who can use 1099, bank statement, and other alternative income products, then that's going to be someone who's just going to naturally fit into that product. The same with investors, even your foreign nationals. It makes a lot more sense to approach it in that way than to try to jerry rig a file later on into something and have it be a headache. And most people get scared of non-QM because of that reason. They didn't put the time into understanding it, and then they didn't put the time into kind of sourcing it through the right avenues.
I love what you mentioned with the accountant, the CPA. I mean, what a great way to get in front of business owners. They're preparing all their taxes. They're preparing all their financials. what a great referral in, because if their CPA saying, hey, go talk to John Smith at XYZ Mortgage, he's the best with bank statement loans, they're going to fully trust him going into it.
Absolutely. They don't have to worry about someone, screaming at them later when those tax returns don't work when they go to buy, their $1 million house. Oftentimes we see with bank statement income calcs that the income's much higher than what people even imagine they could afford. So they kind of understand that. If a loan officer isn't offering or providing any other financial services, they're not going to steal that CPA's, customer away. They're just kind of building a nice network of referrals there. And we're going into tax season. This
Yep.
is the time. Tax season and the spring buying season kind of align perfectly, right? So people come out of the rooms of winter and they're ready to buy. And the self-employed guy oftentimes gets stuck, when his tax
Mhm.
go up. So if and that LO is educated and can properly explain that to a referral partner in a very simplistic way, they're going to see a wave of self-employed borrowers who won't even think about their tax returns from the start.
And for our listeners, there's so many loan officers out there who they'll tell that business owner, hey, you should file your taxes differently. You need to show this. You need to show this for 2 years or amend a return. And you can't do that. Like,
Right.
present to them the amazing product that's at their fingertips. That business owner probably has, that heavy cash flow. They have a good amount in assets. And I like to think of your space as above prime mortgage, because those buyers have great credit and tons of assets.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes what we see at Logan, and it's pretty indicative of the rest of the non-QM market, you're going to see credit scores in the mid 700 range. Most of these borrowers have skin in the game. We always say 20% is the magic number, but oftentimes our LTV will be in the mid 70s for all product classes. And then, you're just looking at people who are well-heeled, entrepreneurial, just understand the nuances of borrowing more than they ever have. I mean, we all have so much more information at our fingertips, so these people are ready for it. And the rates today, really, between a non-QM product and a traditional jumbo or agency product is not that not that wide any longer, right? So people are ready, willing, and able to buy, and they just need someone with expertise, knowledge, and focus that can help them get that deal done the right way.
Yeah, and I think too, if you think about, and I love the CPA approach, if you think about who that borrower is, and when you're talking to your referral source, whether it's your real estate agent, your CPA, even your financial planner, let them know the profile of that person. It's like, this, when you have someone who is like this, like you're talking about, that has, cash flow, credit scores, business owner. We live in the gig economy now, where a lot of people have multiple businesses. And so, if you can lay out, if you have someone who is this, and this, then we have a loan program that allow them to do this, and this.
Right.
So I think going into it from the point of, who their clients are,
Mm-hmm.
that they can help. Because if you have a CPA and they know, I mean, the relationship I have with my CPA has been long term. They know everything about me, and so that is someone to be able to have that conversation. So I think helping them and coming into it from that, I always say hand up. It's like somebody, I learned this from Jack Canfield. He says, when you give, don't give palm down. Or give palm down, don't give palm up, because when you're giving palm up, you're giving something, expecting something back in return. When you give palm down, and that's the thing, think about for these referral sources, give them, that opportunity to relate to who you're talking about. Not
Right.
just like, hey, if you have anyone that, wants to, buy and they're self-employed, I can help them. But
Well, very
it
true.
goes through it.
Very
Yeah.
true. Well, also, as they kind of trust the product, trust the what they can do for customers, it could be a lure and a benefit for that CPA or tax preparer to find more clients, right? I mean, although they're not the originator, they're someone who has a degree of knowledge and a referral partner and someone that can help with the other challenges that self-employed people find, right? I mean, it's
Right.
just like, insurance, they need to know that they can get reliable business insurance. They need to know that they have, proper protection for their business long term. All those things are kind of what a CPA can offer and leverage, and say, hey, if I'm looking for more people that I can do their taxes for, I also have ways to help you with other things I know are challenges to business owners today. And one of the things that kind of gets lost in this when we talk about bank statements, and I always try to remind people, is a bank statement loan doesn't always just have to be a bank statement loan, right? You can also stack with our products multiple income types together. So you might have someone who has a spouse who's W-2 but also has a 1099 side job, and then they're
Yeah.
self-employed over here. I mean, people have multiple income streams in their households more and more that we see. So the good thing about non-QM is the versatility it provides to households when trying to acquire homes today. You can use asset as income along with other verified income. So a wealthy retiree may be sitting on a pile of investments and liquid assets, and still be getting maybe a small pension, retirement income, and they want to buy a second home. That could all be compiled through asset utilization and help them, get an affordable second home or even an investment property.
Yeah, which again relates back to, it's like when you have someone who's like this, and I love that as far as assets, you look at our aging demographics
Mm-hmm.
who are in that, you know, you know, space where they don't maybe have a lot of income coming in, but they do have a lot of assets. So again, talk to your financial planners. And then the other thing, I always remind people, it's like, give back. So if you have someone, when you're talking to people, it's like, do you have a CPA? Do you have a financial planner? Share back those leads, because the biggest way to get something is to give something. And so, so many times we think about, hey, I need to talk to a real estate agent because they have leads, or CPAs because they have leads for me. But, reciprocate that as well. And I think that's a good reminder.
I think with that's kind of funny you say that, because for as long as I've been doing non-QM and training people and doing all these things, I have no certainty that those people will work with just us and give us their business, right?
Yeah.
And I've learned to accept that, and then in some form of just being a good citizen of our industry, I'm like, you know what? One day you might come around and use Logan, but if you came to our training, you learned a little more and you jumped into the deep end and you trying to do some good business, hopefully you're partnered with other people besides us, even, that you can, work with and spread yourself around a little bit. But we all, of course, always want your business. But if I can give someone just a little bit of an edge by educating, and get them to try something new, that's the best thing we can do at the end of the day. Of course, we want the business to come to us, but there's no guarantees. We'll give away the secret sauce for free.
Well, you doing that's so powerful. You're like what Ginger just said. You're coming out with the hand face down. You're coming out to provide that value. You're not asking for anything back. And I really hope our listeners can see that how willing you are to give, and them making one of these, programs or multiple programs their niches. What a great way to grow your income. What a phenomenal way to grow your income.
True. Very
And
true.
one of the things I love about Logan is you have some incredible resources that are available. I mean, just on your website, you can go, you have marketing information in there, you have the guides in there, and that's something where, those are powerful tools. You combine that with ChatGPT and put that in with your marketing. And, Matt, you're big on Instagram.
Mhm.
And so it's like, use that information. I mean, what is a DSCR? If you're talking to the average real estate agent or CPA, they don't know what that is.
Right.
So break
What
it
an
down.
amazing loan too. What an amazing program, that DSCR.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things when you talk about marketing, it's, couching that message properly, taking out some of the jargon. I talk to a lot of real estate agents. I'm about to do an event next month for a large scale real estate agency that's part of one of our customers on the TPO side. And I don't want to use the word non-QM a single time, right? It's special financing solutions. And then you just break it down to the most digestible blocks that they can handle, where it's eye-opening and it's realistic, but it's not so overdone that they're going to say, you know what, it's too complicated and it sounds great, but I don't want to get my hands dirty in this. And the agents have to understand it at the most simplistic term of course, because they're not finance guys, right? They're just like, how do I talk to more high wealth, net wealth individuals, and how do I help people that are, I can't get in the door with, and how do I get into high price neighborhoods, which non-QM can help them do, right? So it's often just again how you position it. You mentioned the marketing and the resources. I think we try not to stay too stale with our marketing. We've really done a good job this year, and even from last year, building our brand, but also helping to position the products properly and very specific to the audiences who need them, from the LO to the referral partner to the agent. And we're still working on that constantly. I mean, constantly in marketing meetings with our chief innovation officer, Sarah, who Ginger, and we're always kind of chipping away, like, how can we do this a little differently? What can we build next? What's the next thing that makes the most sense to today's audience versus last year? And then somebody steals it from you and does what you just did.
But I mean, that's, and obviously that duplication is the greatest compliment, right? When somebody does that. That's like, oh, that was a good idea. But I love, so just, you're talking about you're going in, and I know that's one of the great things with Logan that you have, for some of your corporate clients, you do that. But as an originator, especially for our audience, which is a lot of brokers, think about the power you can have to go in and take the information that Logan provides, as far as here's some of the programs that are available, and go into a real estate office and educate them on not the loan programs. Nobody needs to know your LTV and how you do it or anything like that. But again, back to when you have someone, or teaching them, how to overcome those objections. It's like, have you ever had a buyer or seller who is concerned about, qualifying for their mortgage and how much they can get, and if they're a business owner, if they have multiple sources of income, or, if they've never been in the process before? Has anybody ever had that? Yes. Great. So here's the thing. When you have someone who is, and back to that thing, it's like this, has this, you don't need to know all the details about it. You just need to know there's a solution. And I love, what did you call it? Special financing?
Yes, special financing solutions.
I love that.
Just keep it simple. Even with loan officers, they're like, well, okay, non-QM, what was QM? Like, we came from the time when this QM, reckoning came, but there's new people in there that go, I don't know what that is related to.
Well, that came out of legislation. I mean, that was written in the Dodd-Frank Act as far as QM versus non-QM and a qualification thing. It really doesn't mean anything. Exactly. And so I love, and really it's financing solutions for the current economy, the current, consumer. I can't get into an Uber without, somebody being, that's their second job.
God forbid they ask you what you do for a living. 9 times out of 10, they're going to start talking to you about how they're trying to buy a house, or tried to buy a house, or how they bought their house. It's inevitable. I just say I'm in something that they're not interested in. I make up something.
Well, I'm thinking about things. It's funny. I was on a panel at NAMB National talking about marketing. And there was a gal on the panel with me who, she's not even an originator, and she was interested in reverse mortgages. She's in title. She went and sat outside Target for like 2 hours and just asked people when they were coming in if they'd ever heard about a reverse mortgage. She ended up getting 3 applications.
Wow.
Just by having conversations.
How about that?
So, Matt, you think about, small business owners, it's like the area you're in, you can go into those small businesses and, just, say, hey, by the way, do you or anyone that's a small business, there's small business associations. Go to your local chamber. Your local chamber is made up of what?
Small businesses. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great idea.
And right now, unfortunately, like the writing on the wall, some statistics have come out recently. There have been, mom and pop businesses are filing for bankruptcies at an alarming rate, right? So I think anything that we can do, again, from a community outreach standpoint, to help these people who are still in business, who may need, whether it's maybe refinance, take a cash out to prop up their business for the time being, to overcome some challenges, pay off some debt, whatever it might be, right? I think we have to kind of get the word out on these products now before we see, the collapse of some of these smaller businesses that are, struggling, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting close. We like to keep ours around 20, 25 minutes. And I'd love to have an opportunity. And Paul, you have been so wonderful and supportive. I know you're at NAMB National every year. You provide, a lot of resources. Matt, I know, Paul would be someone good, obviously, to get involved in young professionals. You have your monthly meeting. So we thank you for that. We thank you for supporting NAMB. We thank you for supporting our industry
Happy to do
and doing that give back. If someone is not familiar with Logan, can you give Justin a little quick little overview? Is like, what are some of those? If you have a borrower who is this, and this, that's the reason to connect with Logan.
Well, yeah, Logan's been in existence as a company 76 years, believe it or not. Now, as a non-QM company, about 5 years now. And we're wholly owned and backed by Neuberger Berman, who has been materially involved in the non-QM space for many years now. What I would say, and I say this to everyone, if you look at non-QM, there's basically two factions of it now. There's people that are middle of the fairway like we are, but have the resources and the dedication and expertise there to help people. And then there's a little bit of some of that fringy stuff, which we're not ever going to be a part of. We don't want to be part of a problem in the future. But getting back to us, where that makes us really special is the fact that we have the bank statement loan solutions like everyone has. But when you look into our guidelines, and Matt, you mentioned it earlier, the niches, our niches are really where we give benefit to customers today. We don't have an overlay for NSFs, for example. On all of our products, we allow gift funds for 100% of down payment and closing costs. And that, again, may help some younger borrowers out there who need that solution. When we look at the DSCR products, you can qualify on the interest only on your ratio for the DSCR. So it's about the niches within our products. So if anyone wants to kind of explore further, look at Logan for that. You're going to see bank statements, but you're going to see ways that you won't run into those obstacles later. When you're not as experienced with non-QM, you forget which boxes to check, and there's those little subtle things that will catch you later. So at least some of those things, when it comes to Logan, you're not going to have as much friction with the loan once you start. And then lastly, I'll just say the biggest thing I think is so important still today, Ginger and Matt, it's the education. It's the education. We educate from the most basics on how to spell DSCR and calculate the ratio, all the way out to how to source and find business, like the things we talked about a lot today, and everything in between. And the last thing I'll say is we customize a lot of that training. So what I encourage my business development team to do is sit down with anyone who wants training beforehand and say, what exactly do you need out of this, so we can, carve that presentation and exactly what's going to resonate with the audience, rather than just give what we think matters most today. So that's the big, I think, selling point around us. Strong pricing position because of our parent, and a lot of dedicated experts within our operations team to make sure not only do we start a loan, but we make sure we help you finish that loan and bring more business back for them.
Yep, I love it. Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Matt. Thank you for being my wonderful co-host. And we look forward to having you on another episode. We can really get into some of the details. But if you are looking for someone to be able to really get into the non-QM, Logan is a great place to do that. And give us your website, Paul, as far as where they can connect.
I'll do one better. Actually, I'll give you our bizdev email address.
Perfect.
It's bizdev, BIZDEV at loganfinance.com. And then you can find our website. Our general website is just loganfinance.com. And we have access to the wholesale. We have a wholesale channel. We have a commercial broker channel, as well as a non-del. And we just recently rolled out a delegated platform as well for partners. So we run the full gamut and opportunity, and you can work between those channels if you need to as well.
I love it. Very good. Well, again, thank you so much. And make sure and stay tuned to NAMB's podcast. You can find us at nambpodcast.com. wholesale.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for tuning in to the NAMB Podcast, brought to you by the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. For more episodes, resources, and guest interviews, visit nambpodcast.com. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you soon.